thought it might be an exciting thing to start with why. Why am I here? Why am I a love coach? What was the aha moment for me in relationships that led me here to being a love coach? And man, I remember it so vividly. I was sitting in my Volkswagen Bug that had a tiny camper attached behind me, and I had just dropped off my ex at the airport in North Carolina. I'm originally from Arkansas. And I just remember trying to drive my way back to Texas after this really epic breakup, where I had a lot on the line. I had sold my house and I was traveling in this camper, and I was all in into that lifestyle. And I had no idea what I was about to do. And I remember thinking, I am just so exhausted. I am so tired. I can't eat. I'm just so drained that I pulled into a hotel and I just thought, I just need to sleep and take care of myself right now in this transitional moment. And I remember after dropping him off at the airport that, oh, I had this moment that shook me to my core, shook me to my bones, that I will never, ever, 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 ever do relationships this way again. In the process of that relationship, I had abandoned myself in some of the most extreme ways that I might go into more details about later on in this podcast. However, for right now, the importance of the story in my journey was this just deep, earth-shaking knowing that I will never, ever abandon myself in a relationship again. I will never, ever, ever break trust with myself again. And I didn't really know how to go about relationships any differently than I had been doing for years and years and years of, let me make this relationship all about your needs because it's not safe for me to have needs. And so in that process, I really just didn't know who I was, like I gave everything to relationships and just completely abandoned myself and put myself on the shelf over and over and over and over again in bigger and bigger and bigger ways until I finally got the fucking message like, never, ever, ever will I do relationships this way again. And in the journey of healing from the deep self-betrayal, right? This story really has nothing to do with my partner at the time. It was more about, the story is more about my side of the street. And really just learning that, wow, like I don't ever want to do this again. And so I just started this journey of really piecing myself back together. This voice just kept coming over me of like, whatever you do, make sure it's an act of love to yourself. And I lived and died by that mantra for about a year of just really, going through a dark night of the soul and really trying to understand why did I abandon myself that much and that hardcore, like in such extreme ways? Like, where did that come from? And through that process, I gained mentors and I had done a lot of research and I started really building this deep self-trust back in myself, which is just budgeable. I don't even know if that's a word. It's unshakable. Like when you have that deep of a commitment to yourself of, I will never, ever, ever do relationships this way again. I will never, ever, ever abandon myself again. And I am committed to this growth path, no matter how hard it is, how messy it is, how slow it is. There were times where I was just like literally crawling, clawing my way out of my dark night of the soul. And the most important thing that came out of this that I am so excited to share with you all and my clients is that the most important thing in dating or relationships is to stay true to yourself. Because if you don't, it will slowly eat you alive, and you will leave feeling drained emotionally, financially, sexually, physically. You might end up in a place like me where I was like laying on the bathroom floor just like, oh my gosh, like I can't eat, I can't sleep, like I'm going to die if I don't leave. Because when you go that far out of staying true to yourself and you're living life in such disalignment and alignment, it just gets louder. It just gets freaking louder and louder and louder in bigger and bigger and bigger ways until you hit this like almost rock bottom that you're like, who am I? What is this life meant for? Like, what am I doing? How'd I get here? You know? And so, one of the most important things to remember in the dating process is stay true. Stay freaking true to yourself. And sometimes it's really important to have support around you, because we all have these blind spots when it comes to love, right? Like there's like friendships, and there's like coworkers, and then there's romantic partners. And in romantic partners, it gets so foggy sometimes. Like, what is real? Am I staying true to myself? Am I not? And there's all these blind spots when you first start dating someone, especially if you're not in touch with what is driving you underneath the surface, which for me was this deep fear of being alone, this deep fear of not knowing I could have a healthy relationship, two, not even knowing what that looked like, and three, like I was just completing the cycle over and over again in the same relationships, just different faces, different men over time. And when I really started to look at what was underneath there, wow, it was like so much, so much. And I will go into that later in a podcast. I'm not going to go into it right now, or this podcast will be like 5 hours long. So the most important thing is to stay true to yourself in dating and relationships, because if not, it will slowly eat you alive and leave you feeling so drained. And a way that you can stay true to yourself in a more easeful way is to go slow. If you're like me, in my past relationships, I went from 0 to 100, like so quick at the drop of a dime. Like the physical relationship, moving in with people, proximity, like as soon as I started dating somebody, it was like we were together 24/7, and I just immersed myself into their world. And that's how I was so skilled at losing myself, because I just flew by the seat of my pants, and I didn't have any time in between, you know, going on a date and then having that time to reflect and say, like, kind of replay the date, like, oh, okay, was I staying true to myself? Like, what really went on in that date? How am I feeling about this person? And being really honest with myself about this person sitting in front of me. Yeah, so if I could give you anything, is to go slow with proximity, slow with being attached at the hip, slow with the physical, slow with moving in, and all of these different ways. Just go slow. Like, trust me. Trust me. Going slow is really a key to helping you stay true to yourself, because you have those moments of reflection. And then if you add support on top of that, going slow and support, like, woo, like you're going to have a lot more time and ways of processing the person that you're starting to date, so that you can really, you know, stay true to that deeper part of you and not just put it on the shelf. And it's really cool, because this idea of staying true to yourself, because if not, it will slowly eat you alive. It also translates to your health, to career. Let's say in the health realm, if you don't stay true to yourself in what you're wanting to achieve, you know, health-wise or career-wise, you can really start to abandon yourself with what you're putting in your body, the workouts are like, I'll just go hang out on this date, right? And not actually take care of my body in the way that I know I need to feel the best in my body and my life. And the same with career. Like, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you just meet someone, and if you don't have that commitment to yourself to stay true and the support around you to really start reflecting your blind spots and that slow pace, you might abandon your career. Like, and I'm saying this with like such compassion because I have done this myself of, you know, knowing I was here on this earth to do something and then meeting somebody and just completely abandoning my route, where I am trying to go in my life, what I'm trying to achieve, who I'm trying to help. And so, really, this idea behind the commitment to staying true to yourself so it doesn't slowly eat you alive, and that disalignment in relationships, health, career, like, it may start really slow and you might not be able to see it at first, especially if you don't have support. And then over time, it's just going to get louder and louder and louder. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, what happened? 2 years went by and I didn't actually go towards the dreams that I had, or the health goals I had, or the healthy relationship that I deeply desire, the love that I deeply desire. So just really, 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 if you take anything away from this and things that I've done like so hardcore, the quote unquote wrong way or the hard way, let's go with that, the hard way. I've done so many things by beating my head up against the wall, and I'm so hard-headed. So anything you're going through, I have probably also been through myself. And if you take away anything from this, it's just that commitment to staying true to yourself and go slow, get support. And this will make your dating, your relationship journey so much more fulfilling and easeful. And that's my biggest wish for you.